Come with me. Let's walk together, you and I, not on a frantic rush through a bustling airport, not on a highway packed with cars, all hurrying to a destination. No, this journey is different. This is a journey on foot, a slow, deliberate pilgrimage into the heart of forgotten lands. Imagine the air, cool and still against your skin. The sun is setting, painting the sky in hues of deep orange and soft violet. We are walking, not on asphalt or concrete, but on a path worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. Beneath our feet lies the dust of history, the quiet whispers of civilizations that have risen and fallen like the tides. Think of our modern world, the constant noise, the notifications, the endless to-do lists. We travel to see, but do we truly experience? We fly over continents in hours, but we miss the subtle changes in the landscape, the scent of the earth after a light rain, the sound of the wind moving through ancient stones. Here, in this timeless place, we are reclaiming that connection. We are trading the blur of high-speed travel for the clarity of a single mindful step. This is not like a quick tour of a historical site in a busy city. This is an immersion. We are not just observers. We are participants in the silence, in the stillness. Each step we take is a conversation with the past. The ground beneath us holds the memories of pharaohs and emperors, of poets and philosophers, of everyday people who loved and dreamed just as we do. Their great monuments, now softened by time, stand as silent sentinels against the horizon. They are not just ruins, they are storytellers. Let your own footsteps become a gentle rhythm, a quiet drumbeat matching the slow, steady pulse of the earth. Feel the tension in your shoulders begin to release. Allow the muscles in your neck to soften. Let the weight of the day, of the week, of the year simply fall away with each exhalation. Breathe in the ancient air. It's clean, pure, carrying the scent of dry earth and wild herbs. Breathe out all the hurry, all the worry. There is nowhere else to be but here. There is nothing else to do but walk and breathe and be. We are moving through a landscape of immense peace. The great structures around us, perhaps the weathered columns of a Greek temple or the sprawling foundations of a Roman city, are not monuments to power anymore. They are monuments to time itself. They teach us of impermanence, and in that, they offer a profound sense of tranquility. Listen, what do you hear? Not the clamor of traffic, but the soft sigh of the wind as it weaves through broken archways. It carries tales from distant deserts and forgotten seas. It's a lullaby sung by the world itself, a song of eternity. Can you hear the gentle crunch of small stones under your feet? Feel the texture of this world. If you were to reach out, you could touch a stone warmed by the last rays of the setting sun. You could feel the coolness of moss growing in a shaded crevice. As we walk, the sky darkens from purple to a deep, velvety indigo. One by one, the stars begin to appear. Not the faded city stars, but a brilliant, breathtaking canopy of light. They are the same stars that guided ancient sailors, the same stars that witnessed the construction of these very cities. Looking up at them, you feel a sense of connection to all who have come before, a sense of your own small, perfect place in the vastness of the cosmos. Let your mind wander. It's not the anxious, racing kind of wandering. It's a gentle drift, like a leaf floating on a slow-moving stream. Only acceptance, only peace. Your body is growing heavier, but it's a pleasant weight, a weight of relaxation, of surrender. Each step is easier than the last. The path ahead is bathed in the soft, silvery light of the moon. It illuminates our way, making the shadows long and soft. The world is reduced to simple, beautiful shapes, to light and shadow, to stillness and the sound of our breathing. We pass a place that might have been a library, its walls now open to the sky. Imagine the knowledge, the stories that were once held here. They haven't vanished. They have simply been absorbed back into the earth, into the air, into the collective memory of this place. And as you breathe, you are breathing in that ancient wisdom, that timeless peace. Your eyelids feel heavy now. Let them close if they wish to. You don't need to see this place with your eyes anymore. You can feel it. You can sense its profound quietude in every cell of your body. The walk is becoming effortless, as if you are floating just above the ground. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps, real or imagined, is lulling you into a deeper state of rest. Step and release. Step and let go. The world outside your mind, the room you are in, begins to fade away. All that remains is this peaceful, endless path under a sky full of stars. This journey is not about reaching a destination. It's about the process of walking, of slowing down, of sinking into a state of deep, restorative calm. You have given yourself this gift of time, this gift of stillness. You have allowed yourself to disconnect from the chaos and reconnect with the quiet, steady rhythm of your own being. The wind whispers a final, gentle secret as it passes by. It tells you that it is safe to rest. It is safe to let go completely. All the guards you hold up during the day can be lowered now. Here, in the heart of this ancient land, you are protected by the profound silence and the enduring strength of time itself. Your breathing is slow and deep now, a soft, steady tide rising and falling. With each breath, you sink deeper into comfort, deeper into tranquility. The path seems to dissolve beneath your feet, and you are no longer walking, but floating in a warm, dark, peaceful space. There are no more thoughts, only feelings. The feeling of peace, the feeling of safety, the feeling of being completely and utterly at rest. The stories of this ancient land have become your own story of sleep, a narrative of quiet and restoration. You are drifting now, drifting on a gentle current towards the shores of deep, restful sleep. The starlight fades into a soft, comforting darkness. The sound of the wind becomes a distant, soothing hum. You are at peace. You are ready for sleep. Let the journey continue in your dreams, through silent landscapes and starlit nights. Sleep now. Sleep deeply. Have you ever wondered about the cities that time forgot? Places that once thrived, filled with the sounds of life, the echoes of laughter, and the bustle of busy streets, now stand silent. Imagine walking through these ghost towns, where the only sound is the whisper of the wind through empty windows and the crunch of leaves under your feet. Picture soft sunlight dappling ancient stone, illuminating temples where prayers once filled the air, and homes that now hold only memories. These are not just ruins. They are time capsules, each telling a story of a civilization that rose, flourished, and ultimately faded away. They invite us to listen to their silence, to reflect on the rise and fall of empires, and to find a strange, profound beauty in their desolation. Today, we embark on a journey to some of the world's most captivating, abandoned cities. We'll peel back the layers of history, uncovering the stories of why these once great metropolises were left to the elements. From legendary lost cities swallowed by the jungle to modern towns abandoned in the wake of disaster, each holds a unique and powerful tale. So, take a deep breath and let's step into the quiet world of these silent giants. For centuries, this was the sprawling capital of the Khmer Empire, a metropolis that at its peak in the 12th century was the largest pre-industrial city in the world. Imagine 1 million people living here, in a city of stone temples, intricate canal systems, and wooden palaces. Angkor Wat, the jewel in its crown, is a breathtaking temple complex, a masterpiece of architecture so vast it's considered the largest religious monument in the world. Its towers, shaped like lotus buds, reach for the sky, and its walls are covered in thousands of intricate carvings depicting Hindu myths and historical events. But Angkor was more than just Angkor Wat. It was a network of cities, including Angkor Thom, with its enigmatic stone faces smiling down from the Bayon Temple. Life here was orchestrated by a sophisticated water management system, the beres and canals, which irrigated rice fields and sustained the massive population. So, what happened? Why did this vibrant heart of an empire stop beating? Historians believe a combination of factors led to its decline. The switch from Hinduism to Theravada Buddhism may have altered the social and political structure. Invasions from the neighboring Ayutthaya kingdom weakened the empire, and a series of prolonged droughts and intense monsoons, perhaps linked to climate change, crippled their masterful water system, making the city unsustainable. By the 15th century, the capital was moved, and Angkor was slowly, inexorably reclaimed by the jungle. For centuries, it remained a legend, a lost city hidden beneath a canopy of green. Its stone structures entwined with the massive roots of silk cotton trees, a silent testament to a brilliant civilization. From the jungles of Southeast Asia, we travel across the Atlantic to the Americas, to a city nestled high in the Andes Mountains of Peru, Machu Picchu. This name conjures images of misty peaks, emerald terraces, and the haunting beauty of Inca stonework, built around 1450 at the height of the Inca Empire. Machu Picchu is an architectural marvel. Its buildings, crafted from polished dry stone walls that fit together without mortar, have withstood centuries of earthquakes and erosion. It's a city in the clouds, an estate believed to have been built for the Inca Emperor Pachacati. Imagine waking up here, surrounded by sacred peaks, the Urubamba River snaking far below in the valley. The city was divided into urban and agricultural sectors, with meticulously engineered terraces for farming and a complex system of water channels. There were temples dedicated to the sun god, Inti astronomical observatories, and residential quarters. Yet, just a century after it was built, Machu Picchu was abandoned. The reason for its desertion is one of history's great mysteries. There's no evidence of a battle, and the Spanish conquistadors, who ravaged the Inca Empire, seem to have never found it. One theory is that a smallpox epidemic, brought by the Europeans, wiped out its inhabitants before the Spanish even arrived. Another suggests the city was simply abandoned after the fall of the Inca Empire, its purpose as a royal retreat rendered obsolete. Whatever the reason, its location kept it hidden from the outside world for over 400 years until it was rediscovered in 1911. Today, it remains a powerful symbol of the Incas' ingenuity and their deep connection to the natural world. Now, let's journey back to the old world, to the shores of the Mediterranean, to a city frozen in time by a catastrophic force of nature, Pompeii. In 79 AD, Pompeii was a bustling Roman city, a lively resort for Rome's elite, sitting in the shadow of Mount Vesuvius. It had a complex water system, an amphitheater, a gymnasium, and a busy port. Its streets were lined with shops, workshops, and elegant villas, many decorated with stunning frescoes. People went about their daily lives, trading goods, baking bread, and debating politics in the forum, completely unaware of the disaster looming over them. Then Vesuvius erupted. It wasn't a slow lava flow, but a cataclysmic explosion that sent a superheated cloud of ash, pumice, and gas hurtling down upon the city. In a matter of hours, Pompeii and its inhabitants were buried under meters of volcanic material. The city was wiped off the map and forgotten for nearly 1,700 years. When it was rediscovered and excavated in the 18th century, it was like opening a time capsule. We can walk its stone-paved streets, enter its homes, and see loaves of bread still in the ovens. Most poignantly, archaeologists found voids in the hardened ash left by the bodies of the victims. By pouring plaster into these cavities, they created haunting casts of people in their final moments, a heartbreaking and incredibly human glimpse into the tragedy. They never returned. The city was sealed off, becoming part of the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Today, Pripyat is a chilling monument to the nuclear age. Nature is reclaiming the concrete buildings. Trees grow inside classrooms, and moss covers the floors of empty apartments. The iconic Ferris wheel stands frozen against the sky, a symbol of a future that never arrived. It is a profoundly silent and somber place, a stark reminder of the devastating and long-lasting consequences of human error. Each of these cities, from the ancient stones of Angkor to the radioactive streets of Pripyat, tells a powerful story. They show us that nothing is permanent, that even the greatest civilizations can fall, and the most modern cities can be emptied overnight. Yet they are not just monuments to loss. They are places of reflection, of beauty, and of resilience. The jungle taking back Angkor, the mist enveloping Machu Picchu, the wildflowers pushing through the concrete in Pripyat, they all speak to the enduring power of nature. They remind us of our own place in the long, unfolding story of this planet. Visiting them, even through a screen, is a humbling and unforgettable experience. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the world's most incredible abandoned cities. There are so many more stories like these waiting to be told. If you enjoyed this exploration, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more adventures into the fascinating corners of our world. Let me know in the comments which abandoned city fascinates you the most. Until next time, stay curious. Imagine, for a moment, the quiet hum of everyday life. The sun rises, casting a warm glow on stone walls that have stood for generations. In the narrow streets, you can almost hear the echoes of children's laughter as they chase each other, their small feet pattering on the cobblestones. A baker, his hands dusted with flour, slides another batch of fresh bread into a clay oven, the scent wafting through the open windows and mingling with the aroma of brewing coffee. Families gather around wooden tables, sharing stories from the day before, their voices a gentle murmur of love and connection. In the central market, vendors call out, their stalls overflowing with colorful produce-ripe tomatoes, gleaming olives, and fragrant herbs. Neighbors greet each other with warm smiles, haggling playfully over prices, catching up on gossip, and sharing recipes. A young couple walks hand in hand, dreaming of the future they'll build together within these very walls. An old man sits on a shaded bench, watching the world go by, his mind a library of memories of this place, of the festivals, the weddings, the births, the seasons turning year after year. This wasn't just a collection of buildings. It was a living, breathing community, a tapestry woven with countless threads of ordinary, beautiful lives. Each door held a story, each window a different view of the same shared existence. It was a place of peace, a place of belonging, a place called home. But then the silence came. Not a peaceful silence, but a heavy, empty one. The laughter faded, the markets emptied, and the families were gone. Today, we journey into these silent places, these ghost towns of the modern age, not to dwell on the sorrow, but to honor the lives that once filled them with so much vibrancy. These aren't just ruins, they are memorials to everyday existence, poignant reminders of how fragile the worlds we build can be. Our first stop takes us to a village nestled in a forgotten valley, where time seems to have stopped completely. As we walk through its deserted streets, the first thing you notice is the overwhelming silence. It's a silence that's so profound, you can almost hear the whispers of the past. Look here, at this small house. The door is slightly ajar, as if someone just stepped out for a moment. Inside, a table is still set for a meal that was never eaten. A child's toy car lies on its side on the floor, abandoned mid-play. You can almost picture the scene. A family sitting down for dinner, the sudden alarm, the rush to leave, a promise to return that was never kept. Further down the lane, we find the old schoolhouse. The chalkboards are covered in half-erased lessons. On one, you can just make out the faded letters of an alphabet and a simple drawing of a house with a smiling sun above it. Desks are arranged in neat rows, small wooden chairs tucked beneath them. You can imagine the chorus of young voices reciting their times tables, the scratch of chalk, the teacher's patient guidance. It was here that dreams were nurtured, where the next generation of bakers, farmers, and artists were learning about the world. Now, the only sound is the wind whistling through broken window panes, like a long, mournful sigh. The story of this village is one of sudden economic collapse. A nearby mine, the town's lifeblood for over a century, shut down almost overnight. The jobs disappeared, and with them, the people. They left not because of war or disaster, but because of a simple, brutal economic reality. They packed what they could, leaving behind homes filled with memories, in search of a new beginning elsewhere. It's a quiet tragedy, a slow erosion of a community, until nothing was left but the physical shell. Now, let's travel across the globe to a different kind of abandoned place, one with a much more dramatic story. This was a thriving coastal city, a jewel by the sea, famous for its luxurious hotels and beautiful beaches. Pictures from its heyday show a paradise. Sunbathers relaxing on golden sands, vibrant nightlife, streets bustling with tourists and locals alike. It was a place of joy, of celebration, of life lived to the fullest. The air was filled with music, the scent of salt water, and the promise of endless summer. Then, in a matter of hours, everything changed. A geopolitical conflict erupted, and the city became a front line. Its residents were forced to flee for their lives, leaving everything behind. The once glamorous resorts became silent, concrete skeletons. Luxury cars from a bygone era sit gathering dust in dealership windows, frozen in time. Grand hotels, once filled with international guests, now stand empty, their windows staring out at the sea like vacant eyes. nature has begun its slow process of reclamation. Vines creep up the sides of high-rise buildings, and wildflowers sprout through cracks in the pavement. Walking through this exclusion zone is a surreal experience. It's a modern-day Pompeii. You can see fashion posters from that final summer still clinging to walls, advertising styles that are now decades out of date. In an apartment building, a television set from the era sits in a living room, a silent witness to the last moments of normalcy. This city wasn't abandoned by choice or by economic necessity. It was stolen by conflict. Its people are scattered across the world, many still holding the keys to homes they can never return to. Their lives forever divided into a before and an after. The stories of these places, though different, share a common thread: the sudden, jarring interruption of ordinary life. It reminds us that the communities and routines we often take for granted are precious and can be fragile. But what happens to these places after everyone has left? In some cases, they become dark tourist attractions, drawing visitors who are fascinated by their eerie beauty and tragic histories. In others, they become havens for wildlife, where nature reasserts its dominance over human structures. But perhaps most importantly, they become powerful symbols. They are testaments to human resilience, but also warnings. The village, abandoned for economic reasons, warns us about the sustainability of our communities. The city lost to conflict warns us about the devastating human cost of war. They force us to ask difficult questions about progress, politics, and what we value as a society. What strikes me most is the humanity that still lingers in these empty spaces. It's in the faded photograph left on a mantelpiece, the half-written letter on a desk, the hand-painted sign above a shop. These are not just ruins. They are archives of human experience. They hold the echoes of love, of work, of joy, and of sudden, heartbreaking loss. They remind us that behind every headline of disaster or economic downturn, there are countless individual stories, countless ordinary lives turned upside down. As we explore these silent landscapes, it's easy to feel a sense of melancholy. But there's also a strange beauty here. It's the beauty of resilience, both of nature and of the human spirit. Even in their emptiness, these places tell a profound story. They tell us to cherish the moments we have, to appreciate the communities we belong to, and to never forget the people who once called these ghost towns home. They are a quiet but powerful tribute to the enduring power of memory. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you found this exploration meaningful, consider subscribing for more stories from the forgotten corners of our world. Stay curious, and we'll see you next time. In the quiet corridors of history, where echoes of triumph and whispers of sorrow intertwine, empires are born. They rise from the dust, forged in ambition and fire, reaching for the heavens with towers of stone and dreams of eternity. Imagine the legions of Rome, their standards glinting under the Mediterranean sun, marching across 3 continents. They saw themselves not as conquerors, but as carriers of civilization, their dominion a gift to the world. Their poets sang of an empire without end, a golden age that would stretch into the infinite horizon. Pride, a powerful sculptor, carved their legacy in marble and law. They built roads that stitched the known world together, aqueducts that carried life to sprawling cities, and arenas that roared with the voice of the people. It was a symphony of control, a belief that destiny itself could be commanded. But time, the silent observer, has its own rhythm. It moves not with the clamor of trumpets or the march of armies, but with the gentle, relentless beat of a patient heart. While empires gaze at the sun, time watches the shifting sands, knowing that even the mightiest mountain will one day yield to the wind and the rain. And so the gentle reminder begins. The first crack appears not in a fortress wall, but in the heart of a complacent general, a tremor of doubt, a whisper of dissent in a crowded marketplace. The vastness that was once a symbol of strength becomes a burden. Borders become porous, long supply lines become vulnerable, and the very act of holding on becomes an exhausting struggle. The pride that fueled the ascent slowly curdles into arrogance. The belief in divine right blinds leaders to the currents of change swirling at their feet. They see the world not as it is, but as they wish it to be, a reflection of their own glory. The same expansion that brought wealth and power now sows the seeds of its own undoing. New cultures, new ideas, new faiths begin to bubble up from within the empire's own lands, challenging the old certainties. The intricate web of control, once so masterfully woven, begins to fray at the edges. A message is delayed, a tribute goes unpaid, a rebellion in a distant province is underestimated. The universe does not shout its lessons, it whispers them in the rustle of autumn leaves and the slow erosion of a coastline. For every empire that believed it was the end of history, time was simply turning a page. Across the globe, in the shadow of towering pyramids, another story unfolds. The pharaohs of Egypt, divine intermediaries between gods and mortals, looked upon their kingdom stretching along the fertile Nile. They built tombs to cheat death, monuments to ensure their names would be spoken for millennia. Their power was absolute, their world a perfect, ordered cosmos with themselves at the center. They measured time in dynasties, believing their lineage was a sacred, unbroken chain. Yet the desert winds carried more than just sand. They brought Hyksos invaders, sea peoples, and eventually the legions of that very same Rome. Each wave chipped away at the divine edifice, revealing the mortal foundation beneath. The eternal kingdom became a province, a prize for others to claim. The language of the gods was silenced, replaced by Greek and Latin, and the intricate hieroglyphs became a mystery for nearly 2,000 years. Further east, the great dynasties of China rose and fell like the tide. The mandate of heaven was a powerful concept, granting a ruler the divine right to govern, but it was a conditional gift. It could be withdrawn. When floods ravaged the land, or famine stalked the villages, the people would look to the heavens and then to their emperor. Was the mandate lost? The cycle was relentless. A new, vigorous dynasty would unify the land, bring peace and prosperity, and expand its influence. But generations later, corruption would seep in, the bureaucracy would bloat, and the emperors, cocooned in the forbidden city, would lose touch with their people. Peasant rebellions would ignite, warlords would carve out their own fiefdoms, and the empire would shatter, only to be painstakingly reassembled by a new hero, a new dynasty, ready to begin the cycle anew. From the Han to the Tang, the Song to the Ming, each believed they had perfected the model, only to find that their grand design was as transient as a morning mist. Even the empires of the mind are not immune. The British Empire, upon which the sun famously never set, ruled a quarter of the world's population. It wasn't just military might. It was an empire of industry, of finance, of language. The English language, the common law, the game of cricket, these were tools of a cultural dominion that was, in many ways, more potent than its navies. London was the center of the world, and its citizens carried with them an unshakable confidence in their own superiority and permanence. But the winds of change were blowing here, too. The very ideals of liberty and self-determination that Britain championed in its own way became the weapons used against it. From the salt marshes of India to the plains of Africa, people began to ask a simple question: why should a distant island rule us? The sun did not set on the empire in a single dramatic moment. It set gradually, territory by territory, a slow twilight of decolonization, until the vast global map of red was reduced to a few scattered islands. So what is the lesson in these fallen giants? It's not one of despair, but of humility. It's the recognition that all human structures, no matter how grand, are temporary. They are like sandcastles built on the shore. We can build them with intricate towers and strong walls, decorate them with shells and flags, and for a moment they are glorious against the sky. But we build them knowing the tide will eventually come in. The purpose is not to defy the tide, for that is impossible. The purpose is in the act of building, in the creativity, the cooperation, the beauty we bring into the world for the time that we have. The legacy of Egypt is not in its plundered tombs, but in the enduring wonder it inspires. The legacy of Britain is not in its lost territories, but in the global network of language and connection that remains. This pattern isn't just confined to ancient history. Think of the corporate empires of our own time, companies that seemed invincible, that defined their industries: Kodak, Blockbuster, Nokia. They dominated the market, they had immense resources, and they believed their way was the only way. But technology, like a cultural shift, is a relentless force. They failed to see the digital tide coming in, clinging to the old models of film and physical media until they were swept away. The same pride that blinded the emperors blinded the CEOs. They underestimated the small startups in garages, the whispers of new ideas on the internet, the changing desires of their own customers. The lesson is universal. Rigidity leads to ruin, and the inability to adapt is a fatal flaw. True strength is not in resisting change, but in flowing with it. So, as we look around our world today, at the powers that be, at the systems we inhabit, we can see the same story playing out. We see nations vying for dominance, ideologies clashing, and the constant churning process of creation and decay. It teaches us that culture, ideas, and human connection are far more enduring than any fortress or border. They are passed down, they cross borders, they are translated and transformed, and they form the true, unbroken lineage of humanity. While emperors plot and generals march, a farmer plants a seed, a poet writes a verse, a scientist formulates a question, and in the long run, it is these quiet acts that shape the future. Our choices, our values, our connections, they are the threads that will be woven into the tapestry of tomorrow. The empires of the future may not be defined by land or military might. They may be empires of information, of technology, or of consciousness, but they will be subject to the same universal laws. They will rise, they will flourish, and eventually they will transform into something new. The key is to walk with a sense of perspective, to understand that we are part of a process far larger than ourselves, to act with kindness, to build things of beauty and meaning, and to hold our own certainties lightly. Because in the grand, silent expanse of time, it is humility, not pride, that endures. It is adaptability, not control, that allows for survival. And it is the small, persistent acts of creation and love that are truly eternal. Thank you for listening. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more reflections on our shared human story. Time is a strange and subtle force, isn't it? It moves so slowly, we barely notice its passing, yet it changes everything. Like a silent river, it wears away the hardest stone, not with force, but with persistence. We wake up one day and the world is different, not because of a sudden cataclysm, but because of a million tiny shifts we never saw coming. Think about the world you were born into. Do you remember the weather, the seasons? They felt so certain, so dependable. The crispness of autumn, the deep freeze of winter, the gentle thaw of spring, and the long, lazy heat of summer. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, the rhythm has changed. The winters are a little warmer, the summers a little fiercer. Storms that once felt like anomalies are now familiar characters in our yearly story. The glaciers, those ancient, frozen rivers, weep into the sea, and the coastlines inch inward, reclaiming land that we thought was ours forever. It didn't happen overnight. It happened while we were busy living, planning, worrying about tomorrow, not realizing that the very foundation of our world was quietly, steadily transforming. And what about the monuments we build? The grand cities, the towering statues, the empires we thought would last 1,000 years. We fight wars over lines on a map, spilling blood to possess a piece of land, to raise a flag. We build walls of stone and steel, believing in their permanence. But time just smiles. It waits. The dust settles. The victors and the vanquished alike turn to dust themselves, and the great cities begin to crumble. A crack in the pavement, a loose brick, a forgotten corner where a single seed takes root. Soon, a green tendril snakes its way up a forgotten wall. Nature doesn't conquer with armies. It reclaims with patience, with the slow, inexorable creep of life itself. The roar of the cannon fades into the whisper of the wind through the leaves. It's a tranquil kind of melancholy, this realization. It's not about despair, but about a deep, resonant understanding of our place in the grand scheme of things. We are fleeting moments. We are the brief, brilliant flash of a firefly on a long summer night. Our passions, our struggles, our triumphs, they are real, they are important, but they are also temporary. The world will keep turning long after our names are forgotten. The sun will rise, the rains will fall, and the vines will continue their slow, silent conquest of stone. This feeling, this sense of being a small part of a vast, ancient story, can be overwhelming, but it can also be liberating. If everything is temporary, then every moment becomes precious. If our grandest structures will eventually return to dust, then perhaps the true legacy we leave is not in stone, but in the echoes of our kindness, in the stories we tell, in the love we share. These things are intangible, yes, but perhaps they are the only things that truly endure, woven into the fabric of time itself. Think about your own life, the small changes, the friends who have drifted away, not with a bang, but with the slow fizzle of unanswered texts and canceled plans. The hobbies you were once passionate about, now gathering dust in a corner of your mind. These aren't failures, they are evidence of life being lived. Each faded friendship is a testament to a time when your paths were aligned. We don't notice these things happening. We're too busy with the day-to-day, a wave of nostalgia, bittersweet and profound. The person you were then is both a stranger and the most intimate part of you. This slow erosion is not just about loss, it's about transformation. A caterpillar doesn't just cease to be, it becomes a butterfly. A forest that burns to the ground gives way to a meadow of wildflowers, nourished by the ash. Decay is not the end of life. It is the engine of new life. The fallen leaves of autumn become the soil that feeds the spring. And so it is with us. The parts of ourselves that we let go of, the old beliefs, the outdated dreams, they make space for something new to grow. So, where do we find our footing in this ever-shifting landscape? Where do we find meaning when the ground beneath our feet is constantly moving? Perhaps the answer is not to fight the current, not to build higher walls against the tide of time. Perhaps the answer is to learn to flow with it, to appreciate the beauty of the temporary, to find joy not in permanence, but in the process. Instead, open your heart to the quiet beauty of it all, the tranquil melancholy of being. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing and joining our community. There's much more to explore together.